Beneath the calm shell of steel and code, everything is lining up for either impact or interception. The clock keeps moving. 6 minutes. 5. And across every deck, compartment, and console, the same realization settles in without anyone saying a word. If the system fails even once, the carrier takes the blow. 5:44 local time. The geometry locks into place. The high-arc threats are now in mid-course, climbing fast, their energy signatures surging as they cut through thinner air. Their paths are clean, efficient, merciless. Above them, nothing. Below them, everything else. Then the low-flying threats begin to split apart. Not by chance, but by design. Some stay low and direct, skimming the surface at steady subsonic speed, calm and predictable. Others spread outward, pulling radar attention away from the heart of the formation. A third group briefly slips into heavy clutter before returning on slightly shifted bearings. This is not one attack. It is a layered strike, timed with second-by-second precision. Inside the Combat Information Center, Aegis moves exactly as it was designed to. Tracks are sorted automatically by color and priority. The highest altitude threats go straight to the top of the stack. The low flyers fall in beneath them. Sea-skimming targets, the hardest to detect and stop, are marked for close-range engagement. No one argues over the sequence. The calculations already made that decision. On the forward destroyer, the vertical launch hatches unlock with a dull mechanical thud. The ship still holds fire. It waits. Engagement windows narrow. Fire control solutions sharpen as the incoming tracks continue adjusting speed and spacing. At 5:45, the first target crosses the intercept line. "Shooter ready," a voice says, calm and level. Another response follows at once. "Solution verified." There is no dramatic countdown. There never is. The first interceptor leaves its cell in a burst of light the bridge never even sees. It climbs hard, accelerating faster than anything ahead of it. Seconds later, a second interceptor follows on a slightly offset path. Insurance against debris and countermeasures. On the CIC display, the hostile track splits, then vanishes. No celebration, no reaction. The system is already moving on. Across the formation, other ships begin firing in sequence rather than all at once. Each interceptor is matched to a specific target from a specific launcher, preventing overlap and wasted shots. This is not blind volume fire. It is precision under pressure. Overhead, the high-arc threats are eliminated one after another. Below, the more immediate danger is closing fast. The low-flying targets are now inside medium-range engagement envelopes. Their profiles flatten. Engines hold steady. Guidance remains locked. Some begin making subtle course changes, not to dodge, but to deceive, forcing the tracking software to update constantly. Then the interference spikes. Not broad jamming, not brute force noise. Short, directional bursts, just enough to create moments of doubt. On one console, a track ghosts for half a second before snapping back nearly 20 degrees off its last bearing. On another, two returns seem to merge, almost daring the system to write them off as clutter. Aegis does not hesitate. It recalculates. ESSM interceptors come online. The first salvo launches from a destroyer off the carrier's port quarter. Paired shots, tightly spaced. They race low across the surface, then climb sharply into their targets. Two incoming threats disappear almost instantly. Fragments tumble harmlessly into the sea. Another group pushes in from the opposite bearing. This formation is tighter, faster. It is trying to overload a single sector. The cruiser responds immediately, widening the engagement bubble. Radar locks on. Fire control hands off without friction, and interceptors rise to meet the threat before it can compress the formation. One target breaks apart earlier than expected, farther out than anyone would have guessed. That is not luck. That is margin. But the attack is still not over. A small number of incoming threats deliberately hold behind the main group, lingering just beyond engagement range and forcing the system to keep tracking them while dealing with the nearer danger. They are buying time for the next move. Inside CIC, someone says it quietly. Trailing elements holding back. No one answers. No one needs to. The meaning is obvious. Somewhere inside the remaining clutter, something is meant to get through. At 5:47, the first sea-skimming threats enter the danger zone. They are barely visible now, riding so close to the water that their reflections blend into the wavetops. Radar picks them up late. Optical sensors catch only brief flashes of heat. This is the point where theory runs out. This is the point where distance suddenly means nothing. The final defensive layers come alive, and the strike group braces for the phase no system can fully leave to automation, because saturation is no longer about quantity. It is about time. 5:47 local time. The gap closes fast. The remaining low-flying threats drop even lower, slipping beneath the best radar coverage and racing just above the surface at speeds that leave no room for hesitation. Their guidance is fixed now. No weaving, no feints, no distractions. They are committed straight in. Inside the Combat Information Center, the engagement rings contract rapidly. What had been measured in miles is now counted in seconds. The system reprioritizes without drama. Medium range is finished. This is the last layered defense. ESSM batteries answer first. Paired launches, tight geometry, no pursuit. Only cut-off solutions built to meet each target at the exact point where its choices run out. 2 incoming threats are erased almost instantly, consumed low over the water, their wreckage splashing harmlessly into the sea. But not all of them. One track holds. It does not turn. It does not slow. It does not break apart. It keeps coming. On the Aegis display, the symbol flashes amber. Not a miss, not a kill, just proximity. The target has crossed into a zone where reaction time is no longer comfortable. On one of the escorting destroyers, the forward close-in weapon system begins to spin. The sound is unmistakable, a rising mechanical whine cutting through steel passageways and echoing across the deck. It is not dramatic, it is not cinematic, it is automatic. Targeting data transfers from sensor to mount. The system slews faster than the eye can track. The computer confirms the solution. There is no debate, no last-second command. The weapon fires, a controlled burst, less than 2 seconds. The incoming threat breaks apart in midair, shredded into fragments that fall short of the formation. The blast is close enough to be felt through the hull, but far enough away to do no harm. Still, no one speaks because another track remains. This one is even lower, detected later. Less time to react. It rises over the surface horizon at less than 1,500 meters from the carrier. Dangerously close. Inside CIC, time narrows to individual breaths. No one looks away. No one blinks. The CIWS on a second escort ship comes alive. This burst lasts longer. The air fills with dense defensive fire. The target detonates almost directly ahead of the formation, its warhead destroyed before it can fully function. Debris tears across the water in a violent spray. The carrier remains untouched, but the silence afterward feels heavier than the noise that came before it. The radar picture begins to clear. One by one, the remaining tracks disappear, intercepted, destroyed, or broken apart by layered defenses that never overlapped and never hesitated. At 5:49, the final inbound track vanishes. For the first time since the engagement began, there are no red symbols left on the display. No incoming threats, no fresh launches. Only open water. Even then, no one relaxes. In naval combat, the most dangerous moment is not always the strike itself. Sometimes it is the pause that comes after. Damage control reports arrive with measured precision. No fires, no flooding, no casualties. Hull integrity confirmed across the formation. The carrier stays on course. It does not slow down. It does not turn away. Above, combat air patrol aircraft tighten their orbits, scanning for any sign of a follow-up attack. Electronic warfare teams remain fully engaged, watching for radar illumination or sudden spikes in communication from shore. For now, nothing. Inside CIC, the watch officer speaks again, quiet and controlled. All inbound threats neutralized. No one answers. Not because they did not hear, but because they understand that the sentence is incomplete. Neutralized does not mean over, it means survived. The strike group has just taken a coordinated, multi-directional attack and come through it without losing a single ship. That fact is recorded, acknowledged, and immediately set aside, because survival is not the finish line. It is the condition required to keep going. The carrier sails on, steady against the water, flight deck secure, systems humming at full readiness. Whatever was supposed to happen here did not happen, and whoever launched that strike now understands something important. They did not break the shield, they did not force a withdrawal, they did not land a hit. The final inbound threat was stopped less than a mile from the carrier. That tiny margin, measured in meters and milliseconds, is the distance between deterrence and disaster. And for now, that margin holds. 5:50 local time. The radar picture clears, not slowly but all at once. Red tracks disappear one after another until the display returns to a clean blue field. Open water, neutral contacts, nothing inbound, no fresh launches, no delayed vectors, no second wave rising from the coast. That emptiness is not relief. It is pressure. Inside the Combat Information Center, no one powers down. Consoles remain active, sensors stay locked in. Every system brought online minutes earlier remains fully engaged, waiting for the instant silence ends. Because this is often the most dangerous stage of a fight. After the attack, before the response, damage control reports begin to arrive, brief and exact. Hull integrity green across all ships. No fires, no flooding, no injuries. Fragment impacts recorded outside lethal range. Radar arrays clear, launch systems intact. The carrier never changed course. On the bridge, the captain studies the surface plot without saying a word. His posture has not shifted since the first hostile track appeared. Hands resting lightly on the rail, eyes forward. Around him, the ship breathes. Steel settling, systems cycling, crews holding station. Flight deck status remains locked. Aircraft are still secured. Catapults cold. No launch orders. Not yet. Above the formation, combat air patrol aircraft widen their search patterns, pushing sensor coverage deeper toward the coastline. Radio traffic stays disciplined. No excitement, no chatter. Electronic warfare teams search for signs of life. This is where opponents sometimes make mistakes. A radar beam held too long. Fire control energy. A burst transmission sent too soon. Nothing. No emissions, no signals, no movement. The shoreline has gone dark. Inside CIC, analysts begin rebuilding the attack in real time. Launch vectors are triangulated. Flight profiles logged. Timing gaps measured down to fractions of a second. Every incoming weapon tells a story. Where it came from, what it was meant to strike, which defensive layer it expected to fail. Now the story is complete. What the enemy wanted is clear. What they failed to achieve is even clearer. Still, no one says it aloud. Doctrine does not reward speeches in the middle of a fight. It rewards readiness. Rules of engagement shift quietly. Not announced, not debated. Simply understood. The posture of the strike group tightens, not outward, but inward. Defensive spacing adjusts by small margins. Intelligence assets are reassigned. Undersea elements reposition without comment. The message inside the formation is unmistakable. If anything activates again, there will be no confusion. On deck, sailors remain at their stations, helmets on, gloves tight, eyes moving between sky and horizon. No one relaxes, no one checks the clock. They know better. The silence stretches. Minutes pass, then more. The ocean remains calm, almost offensively normal. Sunlight glints across the surface as if nothing happened, as if dozens of missiles had never crossed the sky. That contrast is unsettling. In naval combat, calm after violence is not peace. It is evaluation. The strike group continues forward. Engine steady, formation disciplined. Every mile gained now is intentional. Every minute without another launch is information. Inside CIC, a watch officer speaks quietly. No follow-on indicators. The words are logged, not celebrated. Somewhere along the coast, someone has realized the strike failed. That realization takes time to verify, time to absorb, time to decide whether to escalate or withdraw. The Navy knows this window well. It is the pause where conflicts either expand or stop. No one aboard assumes the second option. Instead, systems remain ready. Weapons stay armed, eyes stay open, because silence does not mean danger is gone. It means the other side is thinking, and a thinking opponent is often more dangerous than a loud one. The carrier sails on, untouched, unshaken, unimpressed. The attack failed, the shield held. Now begins the phase the enemy cannot see yet. What comes next is no longer about defense. It is about consequence. 6:02 local time. The carrier strike group does not stop. It does not slow. It does not turn away from the Gulf. Engines maintain steady power as the formation advances exactly as planned before the first launch ever occurred. From above, nothing about its movement suggests a force that just endured a full-scale strike. That alone sends a message. Inside the Combat Information Center, the posture changes. Not dramatically, not visibly, but decisively. Defensive tracking gives way to response planning. Launch vectors are finalized. Impact timelines are calculated in reverse. Every failed missile now traces a line back to its point of origin. ISR assets begin tightening their focus inland. Sensors that were scanning the sky only minutes earlier now turn deep toward launch corridors, storage sites, and command locations. Patterns appear quickly. Nothing about the strike was improvised. It required planning, coordination, approval, which means responsibility can be traced. On the bridge, the captain receives a quiet update. He listens and gives a single nod. No sharp commands follow, no speeches are made. The response process is already in motion. Across the formation, readiness conditions rise. No alarms sound, nothing is announced over internal speakers. Yet the crew feels it immediately in the subtle tightening of procedure and the sharper pace of routine. On the flight deck, movement returns. Chains come off aircraft. Weapons crews move with purpose. Elevators begin cycling again, not in chaos, but in sequence. The carrier's air wing does not react in panic. It prepares with discipline. Each aircraft is loaded according to mission profiles briefed long before this day began. Pilots move with controlled efficiency, checking systems, strapping in, sealing helmets. No one asks why. They already know. Elsewhere in the strike group, vertical launch systems remain closed for now, but targeting data continues to flow. Long-range strike cells fill with coordinates. No launch commands are given. Nothing leaves the rails. Not yet. Above the water, combat air patrol aircraft tighten their orbit and expand coverage, watching for any sign of renewed movement. There is none. The shoreline remains silent. That silence is read correctly. This was not a warning shot. It was a gamble. And it failed. The carrier continues deeper into the Gulf, steady and deliberate. Every mile forward reinforces the outcome of the last hour. The strike did not change course. It did not create hesitation. It did not force delay. It achieved nothing. Inside CIC, the final engagement summary is entered into the log. 68 inbound missiles, all neutralized, 0 damage, 0 casualties. Defensive layers performed as designed. The report is clinical. Its meaning is not. Missile attacks are not messages that can be withdrawn. Once launched, they change the rules. The strike group understands that. So does whoever gave the order. Somewhere beyond the horizon, that realization is settling in. The shield was tested and held. The carrier survived, the formation did not break, and now the clock is no longer counting down to impact. It is counting down to response. The difference is quiet, but absolute. At 6:21, the carrier crosses a navigational waypoint without deviation. The log records it without comment. To an outside observer, it looks routine. To anyone who understands naval warfare, it is anything but. This is what dominance looks like when it does not need to announce itself. No burning wreckage, no triumphant music, no victory broadcasts, just steel moving forward, systems aligned, and decisions already made. The missiles are gone. The silence remains. And somewhere far beyond radar range, someone now understands what 68 missiles could not accomplish. They failed to stop the carrier. They failed to break the formation. And by failing, they guaranteed that whatever comes next will not be another test. It will be consequence. The U.S. Navy does not chase noise. It answers intent, and the intent was clear. The Gulf lies ahead. The carrier keeps sailing.